Welcome to Becoming an Expert. This episode is all about the vision and vision. It's going to be about both of them. I will compare their differences and show some effective ways to fight against and with them. And then I am going to fight against vision using the vision. First, let's compare their abilities. I will give you a moment to look over these and compare them, and if you feel you need more time, then you can always pause the video here. Heck, might even help it buffer more. But as you can see, their regular abilities are identical. Now for their signature abilities. As you can see, these abilities are completely different. Both of them increase your power meter in some way, but aside from that, there's nothing similar to them. With Power Steel, the new champion, the Vision, increases his power meter every time he uses his first or second special attack, while the old champion, Vision, will periodically increase his. My guess is that it's at random, because if it's every so many seconds or whatever, it would probably specify right there, and it doesn't, so I think it's random. So as you can see, when it comes to what you would do when fighting with or against either of these two champions, the principles would be exactly the same, because they have the same abilities, same exact attacks, and their special abilities, you can imagine they're not really going to affect the way that you fight them. So now we are getting into fighting. So from this point forward, I will be treating both of these champions the same way. I'm going to treat them as if it's one champion. They're both just one champion. So fighting against him is a little different than most champions. There is a technique some have called hammering. It involves using the special as often as you can. Just hitting with the first special move over and over and over again, unless the second special charges up before you have a chance to hit with the first one. The Vision seems to do this more than most other champions do. In one way, that's actually good, and in another way, that's bad. Because it's good because both these moves are dodgeable, and of course, even if you can't dodge, you can always block the first or second moves. But it's bad because they're actually more effective than his third special, thanks to the power burn they have. His first is harder to dodge, so I usually try to block it. But if I see an opportunity or I'm feeling lucky, I'll try to dodge it. Plus, the power burn of the first isn't as bad as the second, so at least there's a little bit of forgiveness there if I try to dodge away and can't make it and end up getting hit by it. The second one, though, is brutal if you get hit by it. Not only will it burn as much as all of your power, depending on how high his IP is, but it will also take tons of life, almost as much as the third special. So moving on, when fighting with the Vision, when using him, it is a good idea to keep an eye on both your opponent's and your own power meters. You want to do this in order to determine whether what you're going to do, whether you're going to start baiting him, or whether you're going to use your first special to try to get some of his special down a little bit, or to try to get some of his power meter down a little bit, or if you're just going to keep attacking to charge up your second power meter, special, so you can take out tons of his special and tons of his life. Because as you may have noticed if you were reading their abilities, one of their abilities is that when they attack with either of their two moves, their first move or their second move, it's completely based off of how much power they have. Depends on how much life it's going to take away. So the more their power meter's charged up, the more life it takes. So that's another reason I don't typically try to bait with them. I try to gauge it out and time it out just perfectly. So it's like almost like just about to the third power level before I use a second move, and bam, it takes tons away, and it takes away tons of his life, because the higher his power meter, the more life it takes. So that is like the best way to use the vision right there, is just attack him if you can with that special attack, because that's going to take way more life. And if you can, being that the first one's a much quicker, if you can actually nail the guy without having him block it or dodge away from it, then it's really good to use the second one. But many times I do find that it's better to just hammer with the vision. It might not take as much life down. It might not take as much of the power meter down from my opponent, but just a combination of baiting, and then the moment I have my first move and have a chance to use it, being that it's much quicker and knocks them on their butt, I just zap them with it and then run at them and start knocking them before they get their feet on the ground. Sometimes that is more effective than even using the second one. Really, you just got to feel out your opponent and maybe experiment a little bit early on in the fight to see which one's going to be most effective, because one or the other will be more effective than the other. So it's not always exactly the same. When you're hammering, though, you want to make sure to use your special move wisely, your first special move wisely. You don't want to throw your special move the second it's charged, kind of like what the computer does a lot when it's hammering. If the computer's hammering you, a lot of times it just throws that move the second it has it. Bam, 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 bam. And when it does that, it's very predictable. I usually like it when the computer does that, because then I can just be like, just watch the special move meter, knock him until he's up to the first one, dash back, block, let him shoot me, or dash back twice and dodge it, depending on who I'm fighting against or whatever, and then hit him again. And when they're just hammering in that way, where they're throwing their special the second they have it, it makes it easier to fight against, and thus when you do it, it makes it easier for the opponent to beat you. Even though it is a computer, as far as I can tell, they appear to have a little bit of AI in them, where I've noticed that depending on what I do, they sometimes will change the way they fight. So I would not be surprised at all if there was an algorithm specifically in there designed to watch for things like that. Like if you start trying to hammer them using your move the second you have it, and they'll probably start blocking it or dodging away from it the moment you're ready to use it and being prepared for it. So it's a really bad idea to do that. You want to find a good time to use it. So I feel I've covered everything pretty good. Let's move on. It's in here where I decided to find a vision to go up against. Looks like it's being a little slow. Okay, here we are. Use the vision. Oh, there you go. See, he didn't, he dashed back. But he didn't put up his blocking fast enough, and he didn't dash back far enough. Ah, tried to dash a second time. If you watch my first video, then you know what I'm doing here. I'm drawing out. And a little bit of F-picking, I guess. Why bait him? Ah. You can use it. I'm just sitting hanging back trying to see if he uses it or not. Oh, he blocked it! Okay, you know what? I think I'm just gonna... Ooh, look at that. I think I'm just gonna hammer him. If I survive. This is not going my way. Really? Your vision, you're not gonna block? I anticipated that, and yet the vision didn't block. Bam! See how much faster it is? He hits me. There he goes. Well, that was an irritatingly close battle. So, thanks for watching, and have fun.